All right, hey guys, thanks for coming out. I think I kind of got to everybody a little bit. I'm Coach Smallwood. I'm the new athletic director and head football coach here. Just wanted to have an opportunity for you guys to come out and meet me while I'm in town. Obviously, big transition here with my family, so we're kind of bouncing back and forth trying to get moved so we can get here as soon as possible and get this thing rolling. So I'm excited to have you guys, excited to talk to you tonight. Tonight, really, what I want to accomplish tonight was one, to kind of get to meet y'all, put a face to the name for you guys, but also be able to show you really what I'm about. This isn't necessarily the most specific as far as each individual sport and so on and so forth. This is a lot more of my vision, my identity, my culture type thing of what this athletic program is going to be about across the board. So that's kind of what we're getting into. That way you guys know who I am and what I'm about as we get into this and on this journey together, all right? So with that, Heartbeat of One, that's what this is all about. That's my tagline. That's what we're gonna live with. That's what we're gonna hear and see repeatedly, okay? Heartbeat of One, and what that means, guys, really, I talked about it a little bit last night at the banquet, which was awesome, by the way, to see all the great things that are going on and what these athletes are doing. So that honestly made me even more excited about this whole opportunity to see all the great things happening here already to build on. But Heartbeat of One, being together, doing everything for each other, and that's across the entire athletic program, from honestly all the way down through the youth leagues, middle school, and into the high school level, okay, with that alignment all the way through. So we'll hear that a lot. That's just kind of a little gist on it. Okay, our way, our mission, our values, and our purpose. Okay, you guys can read that. To sum it up, guys, this whole thing, the Heartbeat of One, all of this is really about doing what's best for kids. Okay, putting people in the best position possible, growing our student athletes as not only as athletes, not only as students, but as people, as our next generation of leaders that we're going to be relying on to keep our community rolling, right? Empowering all individuals to rise above challenges, respond with purpose, which I'll touch on a little bit in our culture blueprint, which we talk about how we respond to things, discipline over default, things of that nature. I'll kind of touch on that here in just a moment, okay? Our values and pillars: discipline, effort, commitment, accountability, and family. Okay, that's what's kind of keeping this structure up, so to speak. The discipline dynamic of this is going to be very important. It might be uncomfortable, it might be new, it might be whatever it might be. But at the end of the day, the discipline dynamic of this is not only in a sense of disciplining a student athlete for wrongdoing. That's going to be part of it, so just be ready for that. Okay, we'll talk about that more. But also the discipline and how we conduct ourselves, how we respond to things, and how we carry ourselves not only in the school building but also in the community and in our personal lives and in our family homes. Okay, effort's a non-negotiable for me. I'll talk about perfect effort and what that is. That's a thing where I think it's important to acknowledge that we're not always going to get everything right, but we're going to have our heart in the right place and putting our best foot forward at all times and keep moving forward. Okay? That's where I get the perfect effort. Commitment and accountability to one another. Okay? Again, back to the Heartbeat of One. Okay? Being committed to each other as a team, as a family. Okay? To be in this together. And that's going to look a lot of different ways. That might be helping each other out in time of need. It might be giving rides to practice. It might be helping each other with academics. It might be helping pick up the locker rooms. It might be helping tear things down. It could be a lot of different things. Okay? But the overall purpose, positively, I'm running on fumes here. Positively impact all, okay, that we encounter on our journey to the top. That's a lowercase e, leave no person behind, okay? Oops, let me go back. Okay, belief, behavior, and experience. This is kind of our culture blueprint, okay? Kind of summed up. This could be a long conversation. and what this looks like. But to sum it up, there's 3 core beliefs here in our culture blueprint: belief, behavior, and experience. Okay? Relentless effort being belief number 1. I already talked about that. That's one of our pillars. Okay? Relentless effort. Commitment to the process, also built off of our pillars. Band of brothers, that's the family dynamic. Okay? So each of these things is kind of a flow chart, I guess if you will, of our culture blueprint, where each belief has a behavior behind it. How do we conduct ourselves if we truly believe that? And then what's our experience? What's the outcome going to be of that if we're able to carry out that belief wholeheartedly? Okay? So for example, that relentless effort, going as hard as you can in everything you do. And that's not exclusive to the athletic realm. That is also in the school building, in our classwork, taking care of what we need to take care of. Okay? Do it to the best of your ability. Okay? What do you get out of it? Okay? You're tougher, more disciplined than your opponents. You're more prepared. You're ready for the test. You're ready for the game, whatever it might be. Okay? When we don't do those things, that's where we leave things to chance. I'm not someone that likes to leave things to chance. I like to know exactly what I'm getting into. Okay? Commitment to the process. That looks like consistent focus and attention to detail. I always say eyes on the prize. I'm a very process-oriented person. Okay? I do firmly believe that if we can stick to the process, our goals, our outcomes are going to happen. Okay? It may not be the immediate response that we're looking for, but the process is where we're going to hang our hat, and good things are going to happen. Being prepared for the moment. That's kind of the summed up version of that. Okay? Band of brothers. Uncommon commitment to one another and the work necessary to achieve our goals. It takes what it takes. That's kind of what I say. It takes what it takes. Family, brotherhood, trust from the heart. Okay? So this is kind of just our overall culture blueprint. There's some more stuff there. You know, the E plus R equals O is another way. This is something you might see on shirts. Event plus response equals the outcome. That is the way, that's the formula of what this is talking about. It doesn't matter where you're at in life. You're always going to have something that happens. Okay? Whether it's in school, whether it's at practice, in a game, at work, at home, whatever it might be. There's always an event that pops up. You know, our response to that, how we respond to those things, is going to ultimately dictate the outcome, right? Which that outcome then becomes another event. So the idea here that we teach our student athletes is how to respond appropriately, right? And that, that might look different depending on the situation, but how to respond in a productive manner, right? How to respond in a way that's maybe not an immediate emotional response. What am I really looking for? What do I want out of this situation? What's going to be the best outcome? Okay? So that's kind of where that is going with that. Okay, multi-sport participation. Absolutely encouraged and needed. Okay? I am a person that if I could have it my way, our rosters for every sport would look the same. I think it takes everybody. That's part of that heartbeat of one. Obviously, I do understand that's not always feasible, but the idea is there that we're all going to contribute to this whole operation. Okay? I do believe that if one program is having success, those are kids that know how to win. They understand the process, right? They understand what's going on. They're doing things the right way. If we can get them to be involved in our other programs, you're going to get the same thing. You're going to get the success, you're going to get the results, and it creates, long-term, what this creates is something that our whole community can be proud of, no matter what month it is in the year. I don't care if it's October and we're packing that stadium on a Friday night, or if it's December, January, and we're in the gym, or we're out at the tennis courts. We're going to have a lot of fun, a lot of support, a lot of really good things happening. Okay? In season, next season will take precedence as part of the commitment thing. Within this multi-sport participation thing, I want us to understand that whatever season it is, that's what's coming first. Okay? And I've kind of said this before, though, like, we're in a team game, right? I mean, even in our individual type sports, there's a team element there, okay? And how things get scored. So when you're part of a team, it takes everybody, okay? It takes everybody to be present, so we can't be pulling kids out of that sport that's in season to go do something else. Now, if there's an extra time for that next, maybe that next sport, so for example, I'll just use football. If we got kids playing football, they're primarily focused on football at this time. Now, if we're having something extra after those hours for another sport like basketball, then let's go ahead and go get some shots up, whatever it might be. Okay? Obviously within some constraints to where we're not putting kids at risk, but if it's something that's just a very technical skill thing, I'm good with it. Okay? But that's just a part of the communication process amongst our coaches and coaching staffs to kind of take care of that. Year-round strength and conditioning for all athletics. This is something I've touched on. This is not one of those recommendations. This is one of those things that is a non-negotiable. If you're an athlete at this school, you are going to be participating in strength and conditioning, whether you're in season, out of season, or what have you. Okay? Now, I have a management system in place for that, okay, which I think I do have on here briefly, kind of what that looks like. Basically, which I'll just touch on it now. Basically what it is we're monitoring where you're at. If you're an in-season athlete, we have certain criteria depending on how many days out we are from competition to where we're at in our programming. Okay, if you're an off-season athlete, it might look a little bit different. Okay, where that intensity level's maybe a little bit higher. We're not trying to really worry about fatiguing leading up to competition days. Okay, so there's some management systems in place for that. Because the first thing I always get is, well, what about the in-season athletes? We don't want to wear them out. We don't want to hurt them. We're not going to hurt them. The whole point of strength and conditioning, guys, is really one of the largest points of it is injury prevention in and of itself. Okay? So that's kind of the whole idea behind it. Yes, we're going to get faster. We're going to get bigger. We're going to get stronger. We're going to be more explosive. But really, at the end of the day, those things, being bigger or being stronger, being faster, being more flexible, those are all things that are going to keep us healthy at the end of the day. Okay, so on multi-sport participation. This one's always a touchy one, so I just want to kind of get this out there now. Okay? If you are playing multiple sports and you quit a sport after it's already started, okay, that athlete will not be able to join the next sport unless it is mutually agreed upon by the athletic director, myself, and the head coaches of those sports. Okay? Now, I have seen this multiple times. There are circumstances where that's probably what's best for an athlete to maybe move on and go right into the next sport. What I didn't put on there, and I just dawned on me, was they cannot start the next sport until that sport they quit finishes. So, for example, football, if you quit football, we're not going to basketball until football's over. Okay? Now, very rare scenarios where that is typically the case, but they do happen. I have had it. So, which has usually been, I'll just be honest with y'all, those situations have usually been situations where they result in they're just probably not participating in athletics at all. Very severe cases, okay? If you're kind of catching my drift there. Expectations of athletes, okay? All district student code of conduct policies apply. That's first and foremost. Guys, this is an academic setting. I always tell people, athletics is a privilege, it is not a right. Okay, we are here for academics first, okay, which we will take care of, and then activities come second. Okay? So anything that falls under a student code of conduct violation, whatever that repercussion is, it is what it is. I'm not going to fight it. I'm not going to go back for you on that. If that's what our administrative team has come down with, and it is what it is, that's first and foremost. Okay? Now, for example on that, if we're being placed in ISS, which I know none of you will be because you're all going to be awesome, we're not going to have these issues. Okay? But if we are placed in ISS or whatever it might be, that becomes an unexcused absence from practice. If you're missing practice for that, that becomes unexcused. It's not, well, I got put in ISS, I couldn't do anything, but no. You shouldn't have been in ISS in the first place, right? Okay. Academics first, I already talked about that. Loyalty and pride. Wear our colors with honor. Being in uniform, okay? I'm big on this. I do not like walking around and seeing people wearing all kinds of different stuff when we are out on the field or we're in a gym where we're representing ourselves. okay? We are representing not only ourselves, we're representing our coaches, we're representing our school, we're representing our community as a whole, okay? That's our brand, we're gonna wear it, okay? What that looks like, I'm gonna meet with some coaches tomorrow, we're gonna kind of put that in play, but wear our colors, everybody's wearing the same thing. Respecting all, this one gets me. I have very little patience on it. I'm a pretty patient guy, I'll be honest. But this one gets under my skin. I do not and I will not accept our athletes, our students, or whatever you have, okay, calling the adults in the room by their first name or by their last name only. Okay? Our athletes will address the adults as sir, ma'am, or coach in a respectful manner. Okay? And hopefully that carries over into the home. So I hope that kind of changes maybe the tone of the late night conversations where you're wondering where they're at, a little bit. So respecting all. Team before self. Okay, we are going to be very team-centered. Okay, there's not a lot of room for selfish ambition. I think there's a healthy amount where we want to be better ourselves, but why do we want to be better? We want to be better for our team, for the betterment of our team. Guys, anytime I've seen that happen, when you get better for your team gets better, you get exposure, people are wondering who's doing good, you're getting the exposure you want, and that's what you need. Okay? So keeping it team first, what's best for the team. Perfect effort, I already kind of touched on that. Control the controllables, right? That's what that perfect effort really means. We can't control anybody else. Okay? We can't control anything outside of ourselves. What we can control is how much effort we're giving and our attitude toward it. Okay? That's not to say that there's going to be things that, are upsetting. I get it. I've been there. But at the end of the day, we can control our body language. We can control kind of what we're putting out towards those situations, right? Which takes me back to that event plus response equals the outcome. Okay? If you're wanting a good outcome, we need to have a good response. Okay, communication with parents. Okay? And this is coming from coaches. So this is for you guys. I have this on here for you guys to understand what you can expect as far as communication goes with y'all. Okay? Now, what you can expect us to talk about as coaches, and primarily as head coaches. Are there situations where an assistant coach may have a conversation? Yes. But we want to try to keep that with our head coaches. Okay? It's our philosophy, one, which is kind of like what I'm doing right now. Okay? Expectations of the athletes within the programs, team-specific requirements, okay? Policies and procedures, concerns for your child's safety and well-being, advanced notification of absences that are non-emergent. Now, I understand things happen, things come up, notify us as soon as possible, okay? Things that we are not going to discuss as coaches, okay? Playing time. Strategy, play calling, whatever it might be from that standpoint, okay? We're going to let our coaches do their job. I'll handle it if I think that that's not happening, okay? Now, or any situation regarding another person's child in the program. We're not going to come up here and talk about other kids, okay? Unless it's a situation that could be potentially dangerous or it's something needs addressed immediately where it deals with safety and well-being. Okay? So really those are the only three things. We're not going to discuss playing time, we're not going to discuss play calling and strategy, and we're not discussing other people. Okay? I'm all ears for anything that you want to talk about with your particular child, as long as it is in regards to what we're doing with them. Okay? Now, I say all that to say, well, I'll say this. Your voice can be heard, okay? But there's a time and a place for that, okay? And it's going to be done in a very respectful manner, okay? The 24-hour rule. I'm sure this is not maybe new, maybe it is. My 24-hour rule basically applies to any situation, specifically games, right, where if we're maybe feeling some type of way about it after the game's over, let it go for 24 hours, okay? If you still feel like you want to have your voice heard, we will schedule a meeting with myself and the head coach of that sport, okay? And we'll talk about it. I'm not sitting here saying, no, we're not going to listen to you. I want you to have an opportunity to be heard, okay? But just understand that there's some things we're not necessarily going to discuss. I will hear you, and we'll leave it at that, okay? That's kind of my negative side for the night. But just so we're all on the same page with that. Okay, strength and conditioning, already kind of touched on this, okay? Non-negotiable, okay? My thing here is kind of those last two deals, okay? Nobody's really ever gotten healthier, stronger, and more explosive and became a worse athlete. That's kind of the whole thing there, okay? We're either getting better or we're getting worse, we're never staying the same. Okay? That's kind of my whole back mentality to why it is a non-negotiable in our programs. Now, that traffic light system, that's kind of getting into our multi-sport management, okay? Where we'll utilize this as red, yellow, green light, okay? So for in particular, so you guys are gonna hear this probably and wonder, why are we talking about traffic lights, okay? All that's meaning is if we're green light, that student athlete is good to go in whatever we're in our phase in the weight room. Probably meaning they don't have a competition coming up in the next 2 or 3 days, okay, for our in-season athletes. Our off-season athletes are pretty much always green light, okay, to stay on track with whatever our programming has, okay. Our yellow light basically is talking about, this could be someone that's on a rehab assignment, coming back from injury, could be somebody that's, prepping for maybe a district track meet or prepping, it's coming up in the next week, where we're going to modify that workout in a certain way, okay, to where they're not getting the full exposure, but we're still getting work done. That red light's probably a competition day, okay. We know these athletes, or this group of athletes is in competition today and or tomorrow. We're going to red light them. They're not sitting out. It's just going to be a much more modified version, probably a lot more central nervous system activation type stuff, get them primed and ready to go compete. Okay, that's all that's really talking about. Okay, academics, I've already touched on this, but this is the big one. Okay, top priority. I think I've hopefully made that pretty clear. Weekly grade check. So how this is going to look, okay, is your student athletes are going to have a coach assigned to them, okay, for each of the sports they participate in. So for a lot of us, hopefully for all of us, you're going to have multiple coaches checking in on your kiddos and where they're at in the classroom, okay. So just to paint a picture here, easy numbers, let's take football, okay. Let's say we have 100 football players and 10 coaches. Every football coach is going to have 10 of those football athletes that they're responsible for, okay? Now, if they play basketball, they're also going to have a basketball split where there's their second coach keeping tabs on them, okay? And we're going to do weekly grade checks, okay? Our 3, 6, 9 weeks, when we're kind of coming up on those points, those are going to be documented, okay? We're going to keep documentation on that. With that, this could be, so with these coaches that are assigned, you can expect maybe an email, maybe a phone call to home to kind of check in with you guys to make sure you kind of understand where they're at academically or where they might need some more help. Okay, just touch base, that's really just a conversation just to make sure we're all on the same page with where they're at, okay? As well as their teachers are going to be doing the same thing. So what this does, ideally, it builds in a lot of accountability checks towards academics where we're not going to hopefully we're not having anybody slipping through the cracks come that 9-week mark, so we can maintain eligibility for everybody. And not only eligibility, but stay on track for graduation as we go through our 4 years of high school as we go, okay? Tutorials. If academics are becoming an issue, tutorials are going to be mandatory, okay? Where that might be missing practice time, okay? Now, I've said this before, team sports, it's very important to me. I think it's very important to the teams where our athletes are there at practice for the team, right? I think it's a detriment to the team when people aren't able to practice okay? But as part of the accountability piece, you may have to miss out on that, okay? Another thing I'm working on, okay, as I kind of get familiarized with kind of some of the processes here, is having or offering an after-hours tutorial program for athletes that have to get in, that need to be at practice, you know, where it's just the schedules may not work, or that teacher may not offer a tutorial at the time they're able to go, where we can have an opportunity for our students to come in and get some time dedicated to taking care of the classroom work after practice, right? Which that would probably look a lot more like us coaches are kind of facilitating that. But we would have it here, there'd be a check-in process, so on and so forth. But just to build another layer and opportunity for our guys and girls to get done what they need to get done. Oops. Okay, so up next, so that's kind of it. So there's some things that I'm working on here. So kind of up next, what to be on the lookout for. First, which is second up there, my bad, is our communication platform. I'm working on getting the SportsU communication platform launched for all of our athletics and for each individual sport. So when that comes, there'll be notification, how to get signed up on that, what that looks like. We'll get the whole thing going for you. I don't know if we've used that here in the past or not, but it's very easy. It's just an app. I mean, it's like Twitter basically, or X, sorry, right? It's basically a social media platform built and designed for schools and athletic programs, okay? Summer calendar, okay, I'm working on finalizing this. This is tentative, but really what the idea here is going to be is we're going to be Monday through Thursday, morning hours, okay, for all of our athletes. Okay, there may be some staggered starts. I'm trying to finish the details on that, but Monday through Thursday, okay? But we'll have an hour weights, we'll have an hour skills, okay? For our multi-sport athletes, there's going to be some staggered times in there for their skills to stay within the UIL rules and what those skills times looks like for a sport specific, where we can share our athletes and make sure they're getting where they need to be. Okay, so those details are coming. Our tentative off weeks right now, so you guys can maybe make some plans if you haven't already, okay, is the first week after school gets out will be an off week. So that last week of May, we're not starting yet, okay? That's going to be their off week. Decompress, I guess, if you will, from the school year before we hit it hard, because we're going to have about 4 or 5 straight weeks of strength and conditioning and skills before we hit our next week off, which will be that week after the 4th of July. Because if we're going Monday through Thursday, okay, Monday through Thursday, what we'll do, we'll have that Friday, the 3rd off for travel. If you guys are traveling for the 4th of July, whatever it be, go do your travel over the weekend. That way you're not rushing back to get here. Okay, that way you guys can have some family time right there in the middle of the summer. I know that's important. I value it. I've got 2 little kids, so we're going to do that too. Okay, really soak it up. But when we get back from that last break there, okay, I mean now it's pretty much full go, pedal to the metal, here we go. Okay, all the way through into our fall camps and start of school. Okay, so those are kind of the tentative dates there. I'm going to get this sent out as well, so you have it if you forget it or don't quite get a picture on it. But those 2 things, communication platform and a finalized summer schedule, are going to be coming out as soon as possible. Okay? As soon as possible on that, so you guys can kind of plan accordingly. All right? And I think that's kind of all I have. Heartbeat of one. Okay? That's what it's built on. Okay? Discipline, effort, commitment, accountability, and family. Okay? We are one. We're one brand, we're one family, we're one team, we're one school, and we are one community. Okay? We're going to make this place somewhere nobody wants to leave and nobody wants to play against. Okay? That's really my end goal on all of this for everybody here. Something we can all be very proud of and wear with pride. So thank you guys for coming out. I'm going to hang around here. If you guys have any questions about anything I've talked about, feel free to come ask me. Whatever, we can talk. So I'm here for you. I appreciate everybody coming out tonight. And go Doors.